Bitcoiners love to say Bitcoin fixes this, and we're watching a situation play out in China right now where quite literally Bitcoin does fix this. Now, what we've seen is that depositors at a number of banks, they put their money into the bank and they said, I'll come get it later. But those withdrawals, they got frozen starting in April. Now, all of a sudden, there has been a drastic increase in concern among all of the depositors. And so they've gone to the streets and they're demanding that the banks give them their money back. But it's not just any sort of protest. We're watching an uprising starting to happen, and that is not something that we're used to seeing in China. As Brad Mills pointed out here, the social credit score system of control is breaking down in China. The need for Bitcoin is growing stronger globally every single day, and volatility is up globally as well. And now there's video surfacing of the protests, and it's not exactly a walk in the park. More and more people are showing up in the streets, and they're demanding, give me my money back. As we know, China's a really big place. This is all occurring in the Henan province. But over time, the question is, will it spread to other parts of this large country with over 1 billion citizens? Now, we've got a number of quotes from people on the ground talking about how this is changing the way they perceive the banks and their government. The first, from an anonymous protester, said, I did not expect them to be so violent and shameless this time. There was no communication, no warning before they brutally dispersed us. Next up is, why would government employees beat us up? We're only ordinary people asking for our deposits back. We did nothing wrong. Then, being unemployed, all I can live on is my past savings, but I can't even do that now. How am I supposed to support my family? And lastly, the incident completely overturned my perception of the government. I lived all my life placing so much faith in the government. After today, I'll never trust it again. Now, of course, we have people in the streets protesting, and just like in the United States and many other places around the world, at some point, the protests run into the government. But what we do know is that China and their response to these protests, they have even surprised the protesters themselves. If you boil the situation down to its first principles, there are people, they took their life savings, they put it in the bank, and they thought it was safe. But now, as they've tried to withdraw that money, the bank isn't giving it back. It's a major problem. Obviously, for those in China who are being forced to deal with this, but also if it starts to happen in many other places around the world. Bank runs are as old as time. But what we are watching happen here, where people are being frozen out from their deposits, that causes a lot of fear and uncertainty. And it makes people question how the entire system works. Now, I don't know how this situation will play out, and I'm not an expert on Chinese politics or on the Chinese banking system. But I do know that the story is the same for people around the world. If they take their money and they put it in banks, they always want the ability to go and get it out. If they're not able to do that, the fear can drive all sorts of concerns. And I think that's exactly what we're watching play out here in China. Bitcoin, as a decentralized digital currency, it allows for self-sovereignty. Anyone in the world can hold their private keys. If you don't hold your private keys, it's not your Bitcoin. And the reduction of counterparty risk, the reduction of trust in third parties, that is something that is being ushered in by the digital age. And Bitcoin, as the reserve currency of that digital age, is at the forefront of teaching people that self-sovereignty is going to become incredibly important in the years to come.